The Bungie Foundation has been really busy, hard at work, and we wanted to make sure that our families, especially the most vulnerable families in our community, would be able to be taken care of in that time.
So we asked ourselves, well, what can we do for kids in the area? So we actually partnered with Boys and Girls Club in the area to help provide food for kids who were no longer going to school.
They are serving about 500 meals per day. And at this point, since the middle of March, that actually equates to about 30,000 meals that they provided for families in the Bellevue community.
Bungie Foundation, thank you. Thank you, Bungie Foundation.
Our iPads for Kids program has had the opportunity to put an iPad in a staff member's hands and provide them with those really powerful communication tools. Means that they can continue to have very rich and robust visual conversations with patients without having to suit up every single time they need to have that conversation, which means that they're able to save a lot of that PPE equipment.
It's incredible stuff, but being able to use our infrastructure to support that. And then, of course, the huge effort with Direct Relief.
We partnered with Direct Relief, and we wanted to find a way to support those who have been probably some of the most hardest hit in this pandemic, which are our frontline healthcare workers. So we spun up a month-long fundraiser, and we set a goal of $700,000 to be raised in that period of time, and we've already reached our goal, which is really exciting. We are in a really lucky position in the type of support that we provide to Make-A-Wish through the granting of technology wishes. And we actually just got to participate in a wish for a kid named Noah. But in order to get that package to him, Make-A-Wish came up with this really creative idea to reach out to the local fire station. And they loaded up his entire package onto the crane that's attached to the fire truck.
Wow, Noah's wish.
That's the type of work that Make-A-Wish is doing right now. And we're just so excited to just be a small little part of that story.
Bungie is a video game company. We've been around since 1991. We were the creators of the Halo franchise, and we're the creators and developers of Destiny. Bungie has always been very philanthropic. We've felt a strong sense of responsibility to give back to our community. In 2010, we decided to make that official and start our nonprofit foundation. We reached out to Seattle Children's Hospital to ask them what they were missing in the entertainment space. In that process, we created the iPads for Kids program.
Sometimes the simplest things can provide comfort and distraction. Focusing on the familiar and fun can distract.
The impact on the iPads for Kids program is very minimal on hospital staff. Because the Bungie Foundation completely manages the program start to finish, the Bungie Foundation will place an iPad into every single patient room and work with Jamf, our mobile device management company. So when a patient checks into the hospital, they can pick up the iPad, download all the content that they want on it, and then when they leave the hospital, the EMR will send a specific discharge command to that device to completely wipe and reset back to factory setting. I think before Jamf, we were thinking a little bit too small, I think. We were really thinking in that manual structure.
Prior to Jamf, I needed to factory reset the device, then I needed to walk it through all of the initial Apple steps to get the iPad up and running. With the automation of the Jamf infrastructure, that allows me to run the iPad program without actually having to be at the hospital. The patient, they have the power. I'm a school-age kid, I want these apps, and then it on the back end does that.
The iPads for Kids program is just an incredibly unique program that really meets kids where they are.
The patients keep their iPad for the duration of their stay generally. They can turn it back in at any point in time, but I've yet to get one back before they check out, which says something to how much patients enjoy the program. Yeah, I was a younger patient that I walked into the room, and the medical team was rounding at that point in time, and they were trying to talk to the mom, and the patient was really upset. And then as soon as the patient kind of through the crowd of medical providers saw me with the tablet, I mean, they didn't really care about me, but when they saw the tablet in my hand, they instantly kind of calmed down and started looking at me. So I just kind of slipped it in quietly. The patient really calmed down, and the medical providers were able to actually have a coherent conversation with the mom.
It's not surprising that when they're hospitalized, under stress, in pain, and suffering, that they reach to something that is inventive and distracting. It's for play, it's for connection, right? It's for a sense and reminder of what is normal.
My background from being a child life specialist is normalizing the hospital environment. Just being able to provide them with something that is normal to them outside of the hospital is really important to me.
Device security is everything to a hospital. JAMF takes all of that question, all of that human error out of the picture. You click a couple buttons and say, this is what I want on every single device, every single time, and JAMF just does it automatically. This year has proven, I think, to us and to hospitals across the country that this is a program that works for hospitals. When JAMF partnered with us, that opened our eyes to just how far this program can go. It is possible for us to scale our iPads for Kids program to every hospital in the country, to as many devices as we can possibly conceive.
Bungie here, we're incredibly lucky. The fact that we get this privilege to come and make games, and we have the kind of the energy and we have the motivation to do more.
This video game that we're making and this community that we're building, there's something here, there's something to that.
It's not just about making games and making a product and running a business, it's about the impact that we can have on real people's lives.
The idea of the Bungie Foundation came over a decade ago. We had an amazing community following around the world.
It's awesome to have you here.
And we really felt like it was a responsibility for us to do something good. People don't necessarily associate gaming and gamers with charitable work and giving back, but the reality is for decades, the gaming community has actually been one of the most philanthropic communities of people out there. In 2015, there was this profound and just devastating earthquake in Nepal. Entire cities were essentially being demolished and people were perishing. We reached out to an organization called Direct Relief. Over the course of just about 3 weeks, the Bungie community raised over $1 million. For me, it was a life-changing moment. It just sparked this new energy in me of saying, this is the impact that a video game and a video game company and community can have in our world. And these are the things that matter at the end of the day. When we first started the foundation, we decided to really support kids. And what we came up with was the iPads for Kids program.
Kids are coming to the hospital. I mean, that's the first time for them. They're nervous, they're scared. They've heard of hospitals maybe, they don't know what to expect, and so they come into the hospital, maybe not feeling well, maybe really injured or sick, and then on top of that, they don't know what's happening.
It's a very scary environment, especially for young kids.
About 2 years ago, my daughter, she was coughing, and we started to notice her get worse. They rushed her by ambulance to Seattle Children's Hospital. They diagnosed her with severe asthma. She had pneumonia on top of that. It was really scary for her getting that IV the first time because she didn't know what it was.
They're anxious. It's all really new, so they just want some of that comfort from home.
As a parent, you're desperate to make sure your child is comfortable, especially in a circumstance when they could be afraid. You're looking for a lifeline. You're looking for anything that can help. And the iPads for Kids program is something that can help provide some of that.
The iPads for Kids program started in 2012, started with Seattle Children's Hospital. We have since expanded our program to 8 hospitals across the country. So we're now West Coast to East Coast, continuing to grow. At this point, we have about 4,000 devices out there across those 8 hospitals. Hundreds of thousands of patients are actually being impacted.
There's plenty of times that there's patients that came in and not feeling well. You could tell while they were walking to the room they didn't want to be there, and you don't blame them, and then they walk in and then the tablet's there and they go run over and start immediately playing on it or watching Elmo videos or whatever it is that they like to do on it.
Teenagers especially love their Netflix, love connecting with friends, love browsing YouTube.
When you're isolated or when you're in a room and you can't get out of bed, you need a way to connect with the world and feel like you still have those really great, rich connections with your friends and family.
In the hospital, and these kids are utilizing them day in and day out, I don't think we could go back to not having them.
We have dozens of hospitals at this point that have reached out to us saying, we want your program, how do we get it? You know, can you have it here tomorrow, basically?
Vincent, what are you doing on your iPad? Candy Crush. Oh, Candy Crush.
The fact that we have fans and that step up when they're asked to help charitable cause, like that's awesome. I'm proud of that.
Seeing the work that our community does, it's always really humbling and probably the best part of the job. They push us and remind us that it isn't just fun and games, right? We can actually touch people and change their lives.
This idea of coming together as a community, as this giant fire team of individuals who are going on their own mission together to make people's lives better. It's beautiful.